Parliament passes 4 bills. Cameraman dies in boating accident. And stupid changes to the weed law. I am Rico Bulford, and this is Uncut News. Do you see what's happening? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at 592-659-615. Last night, Parliament passed 4 bills with the absence of the major opposition parties. They are as follows. The National Assembly passed the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Amendment Bill 2022, which is aimed at toughening existing laws to prevent drunk driving. The bill puts in place a new section which makes causing the death of someone through drunk driving a case of vehicular manslaughter. It also ups the penalties for drunk driving from $7,000 fine to a $200,000 fine, and 24 months in prison instead of 12. The Restorative Justice Bill 2022 was also passed, paving the way for the establishment of a body that will administer the new act, as well as educate the nation and its citizens on the relatively new concept of restorative justice in the justice system. Instead of jail time, the law seeks to find more holistic ways to deal with victims as well as the perpetrators of crime. The Ministry of Health Suicide Prevention Bill 2022 now decriminalizes suicide in Guyana. The law calls for the provision of suicide prevention programs, as well as assistance to survivors of suicide, people who are suicidal, and those who have lost ones to suicide. It will also see the formation of a National Suicide Prevention Commission, which will advise the Minister of Human Services and Social Security on laws and regulations pertaining to suicide prevention and mental health support. The group will also be in charge of developing a National Suicide Prevention Plan to tackle suicide as a whole. And finally, a revised Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Amendment Bill was enacted by the government. Instead of jail time, anyone caught with 1 to 15 grams of marijuana will be subjected to mandatory counseling. Those caught with 15 to 30 grams will be obliged to perform community service. Nonetheless, these modifications do not decriminalize marijuana possession. Possession of this drug, even 1 gram, is still a crime. Non-law noted that when developing revisions to the current drugs legislation, the government was compelled to reconcile opposing interests and rights. Also happening in Parliament, AFC member Beverly Alert took the oath of office in the National Assembly to replace Raphael Trotman. Alert worked mostly in the communications industry from 2015 to 2030. She was the director of GINA before becoming NCN's coordinator of public information under the Granger administration. You're a hard-working truck owner. That's why you need only quality parts for your truck. But you might be asking, Noriko, now how will I ever afford them? Well, my friend, you need to go to Powered Automotive. They stock parts for Mack, International, Bedford-TM, and all models of Cummins engines. Treat your truck right. Visit them at Lot 491 EE Eccles, or call or WhatsApp them on telephone number 697017. Save big on truck parts at Powered Automotive, the #1 heavy-duty truck parts store in Guyana. You can multiply your cash by selling Digicel Top-Up. This is a legit way you can earn some extra money at your business or to supplement your current hustle. Become a top-up vendor quick and easy by linking with Cellular Plus. Call them on telephone number 685-3109 for more info. A boat carrying media workers and communication professionals from the President's office overturned in the Pomeroon River early this morning, killing 48-year-old cameraman Trevor Patrick of Charity Essequibo Coast. Patrick has been a cameraman for about 15 years, mostly in Essequibo Region 2. He formerly worked for RCA TV and was a part-time employee of Radio Essequibo. The president was returning from Lower Pomeroon, where he visited flood-affected areas, and was on his way to Charity. It is unclear what caused the boat to flip over. However, 30 minutes after the accident, Patrick's body was recovered from the river. The other injured passengers are currently being treated in the hospital, whilst the president is still in the Pomeroon visiting Patrick's widow. The Guyana Press Association demanded on Monday that the opposition leader quit being so abrasive and evasive with media personnel. The declaration came after NCN filed a complaint alleging that 2 of its videographers were intimidated by a coalition member at one of the party's public meetings on Sunday in Maka. This was the most recent encounter a party member had with media employees, demonstrating that many had taken Norton's stance when dealing with the media. Norton has developed a terrible habit of badgering journalists to avoid answering direct questions, especially when they're very pertinent ones. I mean, trust me, even I've tried. The GPA urged Norton not to continue his party's history of antagonistic interactions with the media. As you know, the PNC is known for literally even murdering a journalist, but that's a story for another day. According to the Auditor General's 2021 report, the government gave tax exemptions totaling $266.774 billion in 2021, which is $11 billion more than the GRA collected in income that year. The GRA collected roughly $255.086 billion in revenue in 2020. According to the study, exemptions from customs and taxes were $266.774 billion for the year under review, compared to $137 billion in 2020. This is a $129.774 billion or 94.78% gain over the previous quarter. It was revealed that the value of money foregone in 2021 was 97.09% of overall GRA revenues, compared to 2020 when exemptions represented 62.75% of real revenue received. Tax exemptions provided to corporations and businesses accounted for 95.1% of all exemptions granted, or $235.486 billion Guyana dollars. So if this is telling you something, it means it's really a bad idea to be a worker. You should really just start a business. And now for our stupid news of the day. You know what I think is stupid? The changes to the cannabis laws. It's as if they took all the worst weed regulations and combined them into one poorly thought out compromise that leaves everyone on all sides of the debate wholly unsatisfied. I mean, honestly, look at it. There's no legalization, so we can't become a weed tourist destination and make money that way. There's no religious exemption, so rosters will still be harassed for smoking weed. And the state won't make any money from fines, but the taxpayer will now have to actually pay to support the mandatory counseling for small-time pot smokers who get caught. Sure, maybe there are one or two people who will benefit from counseling, as they may just be self-medicating to deal with their problems in life, but most weed smokers are going to go to the mandatory counseling and discuss everything they talked about there during their next smoke session. Because a lot of young people who smoke in Guyana are actually dealing with problems that counseling alone cannot solve, like the stress of living in poverty. The only benefit this will have is that it will hopefully keep some poor young men out of prison for smoking a joint, which is a good thing. But without dealing with the systemic issues that make young people think they need weed and alcohol and other drugs to even cope with life in the first place, then wasting money on counseling sounds pretty stupid. It's November, which means it's officially robbery season. That's why you need to get security for your home and business through Sheriff Security Service. Sheriff Security offers well-trained guards, armed and unarmed patrol, marine patrol, canine services. These people even got drones. Why? Because your security is their highest priority. You've seen the rest. Now hire the best. Hire Sheriff Security Service today. Now it's time to tell you about Best Buy's Car of the Month. Currently on sale is this 2016 Toyota Crown Athlete. It comes with Bluetooth mount rims, new tires, TV, CD, stereo, fog lamp, smart camera, and much, much more. Buy cars for $9.95 million, or pay as low as $1.99 million down, with around $170,000 monthly for 5 years, and it is yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info, or visit the showrooms at Lot 171 Peter Roger, Queenstown, Lot 2 Lamashi, and tell them that you can send you for this sweet deal.
As an independent online news entity, being politically objective can cost you a lot of money in lost sponsorship opportunities. That's because most local companies are often too scared to associate themselves with a news entity that is uncompromising with the truth. We do appreciate our sponsors, as their support is what has allowed us to maintain our integrity without fear and remain dedicated to you, our viewers. Every night, thousands of viewers rely on Uncut News because they are tired of the biased and poorly presented mainstream media in Guyana. But to truly compete, we need your help to grow Uncut News from being the most watched online news to the most watched news in Guyana, period. Help us by becoming a monthly subscriber today. There are special rewards at every subscription level, including your name in the credits, personalized gifts, and more. Your monthly contribution helps us to stay independent by spending less time worrying about paying the bills and more time on keeping you informed. So click the link in the description of this video and become a subscriber today.
Now for our Uncut News Views Poll Question of the Day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Guyana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it least was. Last night I asked, how do you feel about the opposition's walkout of Parliament? Precious says, the Speaker seems to have a pattern of dismissing the opposition's proposals. The issue raised by the opposition is of vital importance. It is paramount, and if the Speaker doesn't see that, I dare say he is in favour of the bloated list. This, I say, lacks integrity. I agree, the opposition has brought up many issues that deserve being debated and actually publicly ventilated, but it doesn't seem to be happening thanks to the Speaker. Raymond Barrett says, the opposition is right. If the Parliament is not addressing the issue at hand, then why are they even here? This is not a reunion, it is work. Well, that's one way of looking at it. SCO204 says, an opposition not in Parliament is no opposition. They are just failing their supporters. In fact, their supporters should be raising their concerns regarding this, but they won't. They're busy studying the oil money. You know, some people are bringing it up. At least I am, but I'm not a supporter of either of them, but well. Young Boss says they need to stop this childishness. Walking out doesn't make a point. You're running away, leaving them to do whatever they want. Stand and let your voice be heard. At least it will be reflected in the minutes. It will at least show you're fighting. Stop walking out. I agree with this, 100%. And finally, RC View Farm says the opposition is not representing their constituents by walking out. They are serving no purpose. So it seems that we all agree that there are some real issues that need to be addressed. Everyone here also seems to agree that walking out of Parliament is probably not the best way to deal with it. What exactly they should do instead? I don't know, I'm just a cartoon, I don't have those ideas. But the leaders of this 50-year-some-odd-old political party should have come up with a more effective technique of dealing with the government by now. Just saying. Now for tonight's question. How do you feel about the changes to the ganja laws? Is it good? Or do we need even more changes? And if so, what? I want you to think about that question. Tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in our next episode. And with that, all the time we have for tonight, and check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm Rico Bulford saying good night, folks.